please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Got a little one over there, one over there.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes of December the 6th, 2010 regular meeting and December 14th, 2010 special meeting.
I'll move.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Public comments?
No one has signed in.
No one has signed in. So let's move to the presentations for the LSIC presentations. Who's to go first? Hamlin.
Good evening, and thank you for the invitation to speak before the board. We're always happy to be able to come and to make a presentation. I'd like to present to you Mr. Mike McCormick. He's my technology specialist, which has been an absolute blessed gift to our school. He's been able to bring things into the classroom to the teachers. He's been able to help us in a tremendous way to try to get technology up and running. And so he has a short little video for us this evening. Mr. McCormick?
Short now, it was like 30 minutes long, but we cut it down just a little bit. We're looking at 29 minutes. This is a short little video that we put together a while ago. I think we were supposed to do this a while ago, but so if the shorts and the t-shirts and the warm weather, you know, throw you off a little bit, we filmed this a while back. Reflections. So I'm not sure about the volume, but we'll see how she goes.
It's really great to work at Hamlin Pre-K-8. This has been a good year. We've had our bumps and our bruises as we get started, but it's panning out to be a great year. We have received several new pieces of technology this year, and it's so exciting to be able to offer a teacher something new for their classroom. It's just really exciting to see the new technology that's going in the building.
We see a lot more collaborative learning where students are actually helping other students to learn the material rather than simply just teach. We have moved from simply having our children think about themselves. Most of our material today engages them to think globally.
I'm really excited. I really think we're making some positive moves in the right direction.
Obviously, money is a factor. So I think the money that we received a grant technology grant, I've got an extended lab, which has really saved a lot of time out of the classroom. By having an extended lab, we can double dose. We can do a lot of things at the same time. So that's one thing that I see as a positive.
I'm also real excited about our after-school program, because with the after-school program, we're getting lots of children in, giving them opportunities to increase study time. It's given them time for activities that they don't usually get to partake in. We use technology in a lot of ways in my classroom. We have a smart board, we have the Interact pad, I have an Extend lab, which is really cool. It lets the kids really get in music community. We can use it every day if we really wanted to. And I'm able to go in and assign specific assignments to specific kids and students to help them with the things they're having trouble with.
This is my first year at Hamlin Elementary, and I am a special education teacher, which means I do pull-out classes, and I teach Christian activism. And she uses technology quite frequently. She also uses a lot of interaction through the students. She is on her second tech step lesson, which I'm very impressed with.
Well, we're working on Tech Steps, which is teaching them technology skills, but at the same time, they're able to evaluate the issue, the hot topic of the day, and it also leads them to think about the global community.
I like to use the smart board in class for them because it's an opportunity for them to learn by seeing and doing. It's interactive, so they can actually go to the board, take a problem, take a sentence, or whatever I'm having them to do, and work on it in front of the class so the class can watch and gain knowledge from what they do as far as the procedure we're going through.
We also have received a new lab this year in the middle school side. The children go in with their instructors and they work particularly on tech steps, and we're trying to get those projects done earlier in the year and not have all of that on us at the end of the year. And our biggest blessing has been our new technology specialist with our grant. We were given a grant this year, and it has provided us a service that we have just not had in the past.
Another thing that I just can't believe the impact this has made is the intervention. The interventionists have just done a great job. I particularly said math, but the one-on-one is definitely made an impact. We see in test grades, just in motivation. The kids know that there's somebody else that they can turn to. It's really made a big difference. I'm really excited about that.
One of the biggest changes I've noticed at school is the fact that students are much more accountable for themselves, especially in my class. I teach special needs students, and they have come from an attitude of, I can't do anything, to the point where they realize that their expectations are to do exactly what people in other classes do, because they are facing the same future as anyone else will.
We also have been labeled as needing improvement for our school. And from that, we have received a grant from the State Department, and Dr. Sullivan is working with our staff. We're trying to improve our culture, trying to improve our environment, our working conditions, our student enrollment. Absences are a problem here at Hamlin, and we are trying to work to help correct many of those things. We still need an additional custodian here at our school. We've put that on our needs list for several years. Also, we could use an additional half-time secretary. There are some times that, because of the way that the schedules work out, that our secretary on the elementary side has to leave her desk to go to do food service, and that leaves us sometimes without a person answering the telephone. I'm glad to be a Hamlin Bobcat. It's great to come to work. The work is tiring. The hours are long, but the reward is great.
Mr. McCormick again for putting that together for us.
I just want to say the entire thing was filmed with a $100 camera, edited with some $50 software, and I couldn't have done it if it wasn't for my two little nerds, Philip and Isaiah. I have 2 students to help me edit through this, so they did a really good job.
We have 2 students that are accelerated each day, and they get on the bus and come over here and take their math classes. And so that left them a little space in there that we didn't have anything to do with them. And so Mike has picked them up and taken them under his wing and given them some technology, extra technology. So that's worth its weight in gold as far as I'm concerned. If you would turn to page 4, your report, the board members, those of you that have one, I will quickly just review a few things also that we are doing at Hamlin Pre-K 8, trying to meet AYP, because we have not been successful in that area. We're working on some best practices, and these best practices include the tested 7 strategies that we work on: main idea, sequencing, comparing, contrast, fact and opinion, cause, effect, inferences, and text elements. And we are teaching these all across all of the curriculum in all content areas. And we know that these have proven to be highly successful, so that is a focus for us. We're using graphic organizers in a way that probably 3 years ago we were not doing so. And we are learning that by using these graphic organizers, the children are making the connections before, during, and after their instruction. And then as they recall, they can put all of these facts together. And we know that these graphic organizers help them to make mind pictures. And in those mind pictures, then they're better able to express their ideas. We're also using vocabulary. And in our vocabulary, we know that 30 get caught in trying to do that. I don't say we're trying to do it, we are doing it. And we know that this will bring us an increase in our test scores also. Some of those vocabulary skills that we can use are the concept maps, semantic feature analysis, doing semantic mapping. And we teach this through previewing also. We know that when we preview with students, that gives them a leg up to be able to go in and go to the next level, knowing that they have something concretely to stand on before that lesson is delivered. We're also doing the acceleration and or the previewing, particularly for the extra help students in the flex periods of the day that need that. And going on to page 5, we're doing double dosing, or also known as additional time, in tiers 1, 2, and 3, and I'm sure that you've been hearing about that throughout the county, and trying to help these children that still need special attention beyond that instruction that they are receiving in the classroom. The special education teacher is doing previewing also. I don't really have co-teaching in my building the way it needs to be because I'm short on personnel staff. And my teacher has to act more as a support person than a co-teacher. So we are also using distributive summarizing. This is a strategy that's used by the teacher during the lesson in order that that given information is given in small chunks, and then that we have scaffolding that links to prior knowledge. We know that when a child interacts with a person sitting near them, or partner, a small group, the teacher, whatever, that they are producing those small chunks that can go together then to form that large knowledge base. We are using formative assessments and summative assessments to help guide our instruction. We are writing to raise achievement within our building. We do use, our students are using journal entries, they're using essays, character studies, book studies, letters, poems, legends, myths, folk tales. We're using the Lincoln County writing model as a technique to help them to teach and learn paragraph organization. Then if we continue on page 6, we know that each grade level has higher expectations than what we've been having in the past. And we are trying to bring our children up to the level, not down our instruction, but pull our instruction up with high expectations so that our children can be successful. We're looking at depth of knowledge levels. We know that there are many different depths of knowledge. The most, the level that is the one we use so much is just pure roll recall. What did it say? How did it say it? So we're trying to raise our depth of knowledge by looking at the way we are writing questions and trying to write higher level questions like differentiate between. You know, when I see that in a 2nd and 3rd grade classroom, I know that we're getting to where we need to be when we're using compare and contrast. And don't only tell me why, but give me all of the reasons why this occurred. So in level 2, we're asking them to graft certain information, to classify, and to estimate, and to distinguish, and to summarize. And then in level 3, we want them to do some strategic thinking, such as review or formulate why you're doing this. And level 4, we want that extended thinking from the child in its highest level, trying to let them think through the process of why something comes to the way it is. And in that level, we're asking the child to design or connect or to apply a concept or to critique something that's going on. We're also using analysis teams and data teams at the school to look at the children, that what can we do for them, where they're at, to pull them up. We're using collaboration. The teachers are collaborating, looking at different children also. On page 7, I have given a few compliments. We have a staff at Hamlin that care about children. We've asked them to change. Change is not easy. Change often brings anxiety, but it's how we deal with that anxiety that will always be a part of our lives. And, you know, my mother used to teach me, she says, you ride a bicycle. You're either riding forward, or if you sit still, you're not going anywhere. And if you're not real careful, you're going to tumble backwards. So we want to make sure that we're riding that bicycle forward and keeping ahead of the game. We have wonderful retired teachers. I have been given a wonderful gift with 3 retired teachers or interventionalists that are working with our children. I have a high standard literacy coach in Miss Salmons, who absolutely expects the best from the students and the staff. And I would just really be at a loss if I lose her position. And there isn't any way that we could do what needs to be done for our children in that respect. I have a wonderful assistant principal. I can't brag on Miss Ferguson enough, the way she loves the children, the things that she does for the kids, always going out of her way to see and to do what's best for children. On page 8, I would say that we're also doing a wonderful reading instruction. We worked underneath a grant for several years, Reading First, and we've taken many of those strategies like phonics and guided reading and independent reading and informal feedback and the assessments that we give, the Dibbles assessments, the tutoring that we're giving to those children, the extended time. And we're placing a lot of emphasis this year on nonfiction writing, because we also know that research best practices show us that the more nonfiction that we use, the better that we will be. Change is always going to go on, whether we like it or not, it's there. And so now through the SIG grant with the State Department, we are learning that there are expectations through them. Part of that is the professional learning communities, and we have been able to get our professional learning community started. We have developed our SMART grants, our goals, I'm sorry, and we're working on those. And we will be presenting, I suppose, before the state board at the end of the year so that they can see that we are using our money the way that we're supposed to. That's the way our after-school program is coming about, and that is a real plus at Hamlin. I'm real happy about the after-school program. It's very positive and really something that we have needed there for quite a while. And being able to pay the staff for professional development, that makes them feel better. And I just didn't have any money before to do that. So this grant has afforded me that opportunity to be able to do that, and that's a wonderful gift. So we're looking at this grant as an opportunity. I don't look at it as something bad or whatever, and then all this extra help that we're getting from RESA, that's a wonderful gift also. So at Hamlin, we think we're going in the right direction, and as the cover says on your report tonight, we're going for the top. We're not there yet, but we're working in that direction. I have put a few needs on the back that we mentioned also in the video. A half-time custodian could be changed to a full-time. That would be wonderful. Half-time secretary for food service, we really need that. Restrooms need to be completely remodeled on the elementary side. They are not in good shape. The elementary building needs new windows and blinds. Technology needs to continue to be in the classrooms. The paving of the street in front of the middle school gym, and then the buildings just need to be painted. At Hamlin, we thank you for your support. We appreciate the board, and we continue to hope that the future is bright for all of us. Thank you.
Forward some comments. Anybody have any comments, questions? Go ahead.
I just, as far as the windows at the school, isn't that part of our needs assessment, the needs monies that through the SBA we were going to use this year?
Coming up.
I thought, we had to submit a needs project. Is that what we were going to use part of that school?
I think so.
To meet that window need?
Yes.
Ms. Faulkner?
Yes.
I wanted to know, you were talking about maybe a half-time secretary for food service. Do you have I was wondering if in the grade school, if you have a functioning intercom?
The intercom is connected in one building through both sides, and that new intercom was put in this year. And in order to have buttons in the room for teachers to have a recall into the offices, there could only be one box. So it's tied together as one building.
Would you think that would, if we could, I mean, I was having some discussion with some people, and they were talking about maybe if we could get a functioning intercom for the people who are working in the secretary who's working in the grade school, that would probably relieve some of her stress or some duties that she would have to perform. You think that would be a solution there?
No, the solution I'm talking about here is when she has to go down and do lunch duty beginning at 10:25, and she's not back up into the office until after 1 o'clock.
Right.
There's just not people. Miss Ferguson has to become the glorified secretary because Miss Katie's out doing classes and doing instruction, and I don't feel that it's fair always to have to keep Miss Ferguson in the office to do secretarial duties.
So you don't need the intercom to be fixed?
No, we have a brand new intercom. It was like $10,000. The goal at the school has been to make that one school, not two schools. So in order to do that, there was one intercom put in, and now every classroom has buttons in their classroom for emergency and safety sakes that they can call the office and it's taken care of.
Is there any way for the office to call in?
Yes.
There
Yes.
is?
From the main box.
Right.
Yes.
Not
This want is from the lack of having a person Miss Regina has to do, all of the, she takes care of the payroll, and then all the new food service and all of that. It's much more complicated this year. I don't understand all of it
So does she
myself.
work in the main building?
What are you calling the main
I was
building?
talking about I guess the old high school.
No,
She works in the
she
grade
works on
school.
the elementary side.
Right. And they're.
And she goes down and does food service.
Right. My question was, in the grade school area,
Uh-huh.
if she's working in the grade school, does she have to go retrieve, or does that happen in the high school?
She can retrieve, because I have asked them not to use the intercom on both sides to go retrieve students, because I don't like my instruction.
Right.
But all she has to do is push a button over to the middle school side, and that secretary can call every room.
Okay. So
at
that
the
can,
minute.
yeah, that's been taken care of that way? Okay. I wasn't aware of that. But-
I just want to comment that it looks like that Ms. Faulkner and staff have many strategies here to work toward improvement achievement, and I think that's needed not only in your school, but in all our schools. And I think they're doing, we've heard presentations with these various strategies, and it really takes a lot of staff development for that, doesn't it?
It certainly does. But we've been working on that staff development for 2 years, and we've had a plan, and all of this ground has been concretely laid, and now we need to carry it out. We have the strategies. We know what needs to be done.
So you feel like with the training and now it's going to be implemented or has been implemented? that
We're
will be
working
more
on
so?
that, more so, yes. More so, in the last, I would say, year, it's beginning to come together, and I feel like everybody feels like they're really good strategies, real good strategies, and they're scientifically based and proven, and I mean, I just don't see, if we do these things, how we can not get better.
I think you will, I really believe that.
I just think it's going to take a while. You know.
Go ahead.
Ms. Fox, I was looking at some of your test data here. Now, as far as AYP, is there, maybe I overlooked it here, is there anything as far as how your school?
We did not make AYP, and it's in the spatial education sector and low SES.
Okay.
Our numbers are just high.
So that would probably accentuate your need for your literacy test, I would think.
Yes, and we would probably have made AYP on the elementary side if it were 2 separate buildings, but it's not. You know, the State Department considers, and the county considers it as one school, where if there were 2 separate schools, one would be making it probably and one would not be. But the way it is that right, Mr. Roach?
Yep.
Yeah. But because of the configuration of the school, then it's all configured underneath the middle school.
I think the criteria may be a little bit different there.
Yes, sir. And also, just for the board's information, AYP will be leaving. That is going out, so to speak, in the next couple of years. You will not have adequate progress being judged by that. So, just for your information.
It'll simply be progress.
From yearly progress, right.
By your own school.
Yes, and from where they are, and to a year's growth, a year's worth of instruction on improvement. No matter where the students are, they just want to improve. And that's a lot different than AYP, which we applaud.
You're really not comparing it to someone else.
Right.
I think the problem there is going to be, they don't know yet how they're going to measure that year's growth.
So that's the next 2
That's
years.
the
We'll work
next
that
2
out.
years, right? So, any other questions?
Would you, do you think that if we were using that scale, that you would have increased as far as student achievement from 2008, 2009 to 2009, 2010 test year?
Now, say your question again?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. The data for the previous years, so this is
Right.
the data for the 2009, 2010 year, and the 2008, 2009 school year,
Right.
that data, do you think that there would be an improvement from that year? I mean, over that course from 2008, 2009 test data to
We
2000?
did make a little bit of improvement, yes,
That's-
we did, in math and a little bit in reading, yes.
So that would have shown progress.
Because, you know, all of those
Right.
scores changed so drastically.
Yes.
But, you know, I'd like to be on the top of the mountain, not down in the valley.
Yeah.
But I can't fix it all at one time. It's going to take a while to fix these problems. So, I think Ms. Gilda brought out a really good point in the video. We're changing the mindset of the expectation of the student. The student has to realize that they want to do better, and I think that's becoming more important in some areas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Now we're ready for the LSIC report for Lincoln County High School.
Thank you. Mr. Roach, you know how I like data, so I've got 45 slides on numbers. Real quickly again, I'd just like to introduce our LSIC members. We have Mr. Chris Wilkerson, who works here at school. We have Kelly Markham, a parent, Gary Ellis, a parent, and I'm tickled to death with the parents we have on our LSIC. We have one parent that's not here that has a special needs student, so we tried to involve a different group of parents, but they have been, we've had a couple meetings already, and they're speaking parent concerns, which really helps us. You know, they're the voice and have some excellent ideas, and I really appreciate that. We have Mr. Sowards, Mr. Miller, and Mr. Spunogle. And over here we have Mr. Bill Cook, who is the Director of Boone Lincoln Operations. If I got that all wrong, you can correct me later, okay? And since Sean's sitting here, this is our PR man here at the high school. No, I'm just joking. But once again, I'd like to welcome you tonight. And today, as we was preparing, you know, we've been out of school and the students were nervous about presenting and so forth. But when you went around and saw them working and stuff, it's one of those days where you just kind of tear up and know that, you know, that's what you're here for. So it was exciting. Just going through our members, our AYP status, we did not meet AYP in Reading Language Arts. We did not meet it because of the low SES subgroup. Okay, one of the things that we've really discovered and digging even deeper, we have a major difference in our females and our males in reading. And this data, if you look at the 12th grade, that was last year's 11th grade. This is the students that's here this year. You can see it by the subgroup. Our special ed, we have some real challenges there also. So you can see a major difference that we have between our males and our females. I remember how to do this. When you look at the reading language arts score, it's broken down into two parts. There's a reading part, then there's a writing part. When you look at the reading part of the West test, you can still see we still have major problems between our males and our females. Not so much last year's 11th grade, but a 9-point difference there, a 3-point and a 7-point difference there. Then the writing part, this is not, the OL is online writing. You can see where females, even on the writing part, when you break it down to reading, but also on the writing part, our males are not performing. And we've got to do a better job with our male students, and we're trying to come up with some solutions for that. This right here, the data is what it is. With the West test, you get what's called a Lexile score. You can take that Lexile score, and you can they have a chart that you can look at and tell you what grade level those students are reading at. And if you look, this we have some real problems. This is the percent or number of students that are reading at or above grade level based on last year's West test. You know, and some of it is, when I talk to everyone, it's some of the students did not take the test seriously, and I think that was true also. So that's one of the things we're going to have to do, is try to motivate our students with taking the test more serious, and we're going to try to start that with some of our benchmarks. And as students improve on benchmarks, we're going to have some kind of reward system for those that improve on their benchmarks each time, because try to get them to take it a little more seriously. And then we're also going to try to build in some incentives for the West test this year. That's scary. And when you look at that, you know, your reading carries over, because a lot of your math now is reading, your science is reading, everything revolves around reading. It's scary. Okay, what are some things we're doing? Looking around, we've noticed that we didn't have a lot of books for males. A lot of our literature were other books. We worked with the county office and with Miss Coburn, and she found some money, extra money for us, and we bought several books that are for males, nonfiction books, trying to improve our getting the males to read. We have what we call Drop Everything and Read. We do that one day a week in AA, working with the curriculum team. Second semester, we'll try to move that to 3 days a week with response writing, where they will read for 20 minutes and go on. That next one, some of the research says let students select what they want to read. So we've done this before, and we want to do this again. We want to take every student here, either to Books A Million or Borders, and let them pick a book out, you know, and get it for them. And we're trying to turn these guys on to reading. We don't care if they're reading Honey magazines or reading Sports Illustrated. We want to turn them on to reading. So we want them to go get books. And what we want to do there is, when we did this before, we let the students keep the books, but what we're going to do, try to grow our library and get more books in here. We're going to probably get a label and put in there, this book was donated to Lincoln County High School by a student, even though we're buying it out of our money, so that they can have a little ownership in it and so forth. But we're looking at that. We started a program this year called Read 180. Which is for students that struggle with reading. We have 50 students. We still getting some of the technology in that. We hope we get that started as soon as we get back from Christmas. There's also part of that Read 180 is what's called a System 44. It's for beginning readers and non-readers, which actually drills down into phonics. We actually have students here that are beginning readers and so forth. So we're working on that. Power writing, you know, there's a direct relationship between reading and writing. And if you look at our males, what they're doing in writing, we've had a training on power writing for our reading language arts, our special education, our social studies teachers, and our CTE teachers. We've had depth of knowledge training by RESA 2 for all of our teachers. What we're talking about there is a lot of times the questions that we have on standardized assessments are higher level questions, and what we do a lot of times, if we just use textbooks and other things, those are lower level questions, so we're trying to match up the level of questioning. Formative assessment training. We did that last week, and we appreciate Mr. Roach provided us 10 subs that day. We took all of our math and English of the morning. We did a training on formative assessment and on student feedback with our math and reading language arts of the morning. In the afternoon, we brought in our social studies and our science. So we got a lot of bang for a buck there. And formative assessment is, you know, has one of the biggest effects on student achievement as anything you can do. And one of the teachers said, you know, with formative assessment, the students have hope, you know, because you tell them, you know, you help them with what they're needing right at that point instead of waiting to the end. And a good friend of mine, a true educator in this county for years that I talked to, when we was talking about this, he and I was on the same page on a lot of issues, Mr. Doug Smith. He said, Bill, he said, it's kind of like this. That formative assessment is kind of like going to the doctor and getting a diagnostic report. And summative at the end, it's kind of like the autopsy. So and it's true, because we're doing the autopsy at the end when we give the West test. If we don't do some diagnostic things along the way to adjust, then we'll have some problems. Training on the effects of student feedback. There's a lot of research out there, and we're working on that, of giving student feedback. What does it mean if a student gets a paper back and it's got 84 on it, or it's got a D on it? We're working toward teachers making comments, you need to work on this, or you did this great, this is something else you need to improve upon, and try to revise some work and get it done correctly. We also have Plato, and we have after-school tutoring 4 days a week. We double block classes. West Virginia Writes is what we used to call Writing Roadmap, where they can go in and practice the online writing. We've got professional learning communities going. We're struggling a little bit with that, but we'll get there. We're looking to adjust schedules, especially for special education students and students below grade level during our AA, or academic advisory, which is 5 days a week for 30 minutes. We've got to look at our data and pull some students out and get them where they can get that extra help and previewing, so they'll know where the week be headed and so forth. Data analysis. We're working data analysis. We're not where we want to be, but we looked at the West test, we looked at the benchmarks, and what we're doing, we're looking at the West test, the things that were weak on the West test, and then following up with the benchmarks and seeing if we're weak on the same things. And if we are, then we know we really need to adjust there. We're looking at the ACT Explore and Plan, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. We're doing what we call triangulating the data. And what that means is we don't want to look at just one data source, because the West test is just a snapshot of where those students are that day. We want to look at that. We want to look at student teacher assessments, benchmarks, and kind of look and see if all of it matches up, then we'll know. Each teacher has a data notebook where we're trying to, as we do our benchmarks, West tests, different things, trying to keep up with exactly where their student is at that time. Okay, math. We did not meet AYP because of the low SES subgroup. Okay, but you can see there's the males outscored the females in a couple of grades, so it's the reading that's doing us in, but we still got a lot of work to do with our special ed subgroup. What are we doing to address the math concerns? We've got the Cognitive Tutor for Algebra 1, which is a double block for our 9th graders. Cognitive Tutor Geometry. We have the tutoring after school. We have Plato, professional learning communities. And the last one there, our math department chair, Mr. David Atkins. We got looking around and we was able to free him up a period. And we have some teachers who are not certified in math. And Mr. Atkins is going in those classrooms and coaching. One period, we have one period he goes in, he'll go in, watch the teachers teach and talk about the content, how they can do things better. He goes in, if they want him to teach their class that day, he'll teach the class and show some techniques that he uses. And also, if we have a teacher here in the building that's good at technology or something, he'll go in and teach their class that day and let them go observe that other teacher. And it's non-threatening. He said, Mr. Linville, I'm not going to tell you what goes on in these classrooms. I'm coaching, but I will help. And talking to some of the other teachers, it's been great, because if you're coaching, it's not an evaluation. So he's doing a great job doing that for us. So okay, graduation rate increased from 75.6% to 84.4% last year. We made AYP. Okay, looking this year, we're still looking at ways to possibly set up alternative schedules for students to offer Plato and different ways to help them graduate. There's a climate and a culture change is a real challenge, because we have some students that say, well, I'm just going to not work hard in this class, and I know I can go to Plato, and we're having some problems there. We've got to sit down and look at all that and make sure that students are working at a higher level. And another challenge we've discovered, and we're trying to track that, is student transfers. Beginning of the year, we'll have students come in, transfer here from, say, Kanawha County, right on the line, or wherever. They'll come in, be here for a week, not come back. We'll track them. They've dropped out. You know, so it's a real challenge we've got to really start looking at and trying to figure out a way to solve that. Okay. One of the ways we're addressing graduation rate is we have our Plato. This year so far we've had 13 English credits, 6 math, 5 history, 5 science, 4 health, and 1 art credit recovery that will help students graduate this year. You know, we're not even at the semester. We don't only use it for credit recovery. We have for remediation and enrichment. There have been 201 referrals made, and students went down, like if they're have a teacher and they're struggling on CSO, the teacher can refer them. Then they can go down there, and Miss Plumley can pull up that CSO and give them some remediation or even some enrichment activities on that CSO. Okay. One of the things that we really need to work on is, you know, with the graduation rate, you know, if students belong to a school and have a sense that somebody cares about them and so forth, they're more likely to stay in school and graduate. These are some activities that we have. We have Upward Bound. I'll just talk a little bit about a couple of them. Upward Bound, as you know, that's for first generation college students, but this year they've done a lot of things to help needy students. In fact, tomorrow, they worked and got a grant for $1,000 to buy coats for needy students in the middle school. But part of what they're doing tomorrow, they're going out to middle school and give those coats out. But part of what they're doing, they're presenting about staying in school, working, doing well, and graduating. Our program, you know, we're working on some things there, trying to keep a program with a waiver and some things. I don't know if you've been talked about at that. We have the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We have a reading club, a Bible club, Skills USA, of course, the music partnership, Future Farmers of America, Natural Helpers, the Gear Up. We do a lot with our Gear Up. We have part of the Gear Up. We had 4 or 5 teachers. Are you involved in that? No. No. Okay. We had 4 or 5 teachers that received training on how to be mentors, and they take their lunch 1 day a week and pull in 5 at-risk students and work with them on mentoring. We also have our student training to oppose prejudice, our STOP. I don't know if you've heard of that. We have a group here that meets, and it started last year. And it's a group of students that we meet and we talk about how to knock down walls of people that are prejudiced and so forth. Future Educators Association, Miss Yearling over here has that group. We have some kids in that 4-H Horse Club. We have speech and debate, school plays. Reach One is a program where you work with students to prevent them from dropping out. Our social worker runs that and does a real good job with that. Okay. A little bit about, you know, we talk about the WES test. WES test keeps people in their job, I guess. But one of the things that I worry in class, okay, so you can see where we are on that. Math is a challenge across the state. You can see 32 at the state, and we're down to 14. But some things this year is our college readiness on the plan, which is an assessment given that is given during the 10th grade, and you can see our college readiness on that. And whoops, sorry about that. Our reading language arts, we look pretty good. Math is still a challenge. Reading, and you can see our science. So we're working on that. And what are we doing to address some of that? We have ACT tutoring. We have people hired through the Gear Up grant that does some tutoring for ACT. We'll use our Explore and Plan data. The Explore is the grade, a test given in the 8th grade, and the ACT Explore is 8th grade, ACT Plan is 10th grade, and they roll right into the actual ACT. So if you're working on those, you're going to improve your ACT scores. We want to have more parent workshops about ACT and how they can, what you can do to help your child. We're looking with a partnership with Southern of trying next year of trying to do some developmental classes in high school. Say a student didn't score high enough on their ACT, actually do a developmental course so they could get that course out of the way before they go on to college. For us older people, they were called bonehead courses. Wall of Excellence. We want to start a Wall of Excellence, a bulletin board showing our students that got the Promise Scholarship or got scholarships and so forth. This next one, College Transition Initiative. This is our second round. This is through the Tech Prep Consortium. We were the first county to do that about 4 years ago. We started with 10th graders. They were first generation college students. And they were not the students that typically go to college. We started with this program. The first group went through, and I want to talk about them, but they graduated the year before last. Out of that, there was 20 students. 10 of those students finished the program and went on to college. And at that time, our college going rate that year was the highest it ever was in Lincoln County. It was 55%. It went from 45 to 55. This year, we got back in the cycle again. The money was there. And we have 19 students in that program. And what that amounts to is Mr. Bill Elkins teaches that class once a week during the AA. He has these students and he's teaching a college transition class, which tells them how to get ready for college and so forth. But there will be money left, and next year we will roll right in, and those students that want to take college classes in that group, we pay for it. The first group that went through, we had 2 students that graduated with 27 hours of college credit free. So we're really excited about that. So we have 19 students in there. Our partnership with Southern West Virginia Community Technical College, this year we have dual credit, English 101, 102, we have 22 students. Chemistry, it'll be 2 chemistry classes, 213, 214, we have 12 students, that's 4 hours of credit apiece. Civics, which goes to political science, we have 24 students in that. Speech is second semester. Miss Nelson taught that, and she broke her leg and wasn't here first semester. She's back, so she'll be teaching that. Psychology, we had 14 students that will be getting credit in psychology. Teacher cadet, Miss Yearling teaches that. We have 5 students, and then we have a computer literacy in the 9th grade for 19 students. And the teacher cadet and computer literacy, we're having a little bit of trouble paying for that because it's out of the Gear Up, and they first told us they would, then they said they wouldn't, and we're kind of going back and forth with them and trying to get them. And all these credits are free to students. They're absolutely free. One of the things we tried to do this year, and I don't think we're going to be able to, was fast track. And what that means this spring when we schedule students, our seniors, they will schedule, and if they don't need any credits, if they don't need a lot of credits and they have their afternoons free or part of the afternoon free, they will be able to go down on the southern wing and take a college class. They'll take one maybe for 3 or 4 weeks. What we call fast track means they do it every day. Then we'll teach another one. And then we have our CTE classes where we're trying to get some of those adult classes started with Southern. And we're just going to take about a 2-minute break and ask Mr. Cook to speak. We have a wonderful partnership with Southern, and most of it is because of Mr. Cook coming on board. So I'm just going to ask him to take a couple minutes and talk a little bit of things about what Southern is doing.
Thank you, Mr. Wayne. Well, I won't take long, but I got a lot I could say. You know the old cliche, it says, out of sight, out of mind? Well, I like to turn that around and say in sight, in mind. And so I'm in sight. If you're here, you know I'm here. I've made it my goal to satisfy what I'm supposed to do, and that's to be here and establish partnerships with Lincoln County Schools, and we're doing that. We're doing that with Principal Linville and Mr. Cummings and Mr. Sachs and Mr. Roach. I think we're getting that all together. Let me give you a little example. That Southern has an idea that they haven't spent enough time here, and we're going to do better in that area. I think that we have. We have had our Dean of Academics, Dr. McCoy. She has been down here probably 25 days out of the last 60 days. She's taught 2 fast-track classes down here for the community. We also have a fast-track class going right now in math. Mr. Hoover's teaching that. And we have a lot of plans, and I don't have time. I probably couldn't tell you all the plans we have in an hour. But we have a lot of things that we're going to do. One of the things that we're planning on doing this next semester, one of the problems that I saw when I came on board was there wasn't enough information on financial aid. And so what we're doing, we're setting up a computer with a camera on it, which will be able, a student can go in there, they can get on that computer and talk to a financial aid person. We've also been bringing our counselor from Boone down at least once a week. That was the last month. That's going to be a normal thing. We're going to do that. We're going to have that going. Financial aid and counseling is a big part of what we need to do for your younger students. It's a big thing that we need to take an initiative on, and we are. And I want to say this to you. I'm here. You can get a hold of me through any of those gentlemen I just mentioned. I'll come to you. If you have questions, if you have ideas of things that we can do that we can better our relationship and make things work better for our community, let's do that. Bill, just one more thing I'd just like to say. When I took the job at the Boone campus, that was in October of 2009. And they told me that later on that I would be getting the Lincoln site, and I would be taking care of the Lincoln site. They said that it would probably be in March or April. Well, I took that a little earlier than expected. But I'm glad for the challenge, and I believe that things are going to move well. Please accept my thank you for making me part of your community, and I'm going to be. And so I'm excited about what the future holds for us. So thank you for having me tonight, too. I appreciate it.
Mr. Linville?
Yes.
I want to say on behalf of the board, we're very appreciative of what Southern has done and is doing with you. We weren't going anywhere. I'm not sure we were going to make it. But when you came on board, you spoke to the board a couple of years ago or a year ago. Time flies.
9 months ago.
9 months. And you made some, I guess, promises, and you kept them. And we're very grateful for what you and everyone that's connected with Southern is doing for Lincoln County and Lincoln County High Schools. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Linville, may I ask a question?
Yes.
I didn't want to interrupt your train of thought, but since Mr. Cook was just talking, you know, we saw there a moment ago about this need for males and particularly in math, but math in general. Is there a reason that we don't offer courses in math? Is there a lack of interest, or is there some reason we don't have math classes?
Dual credit.
Dual credit. That's on the dual credit side. I don't remember what the reason was. Do you, Rod? Why that we didn't? Was it the availability of an instructor, or do you know?
What was the question?
The question is, why didn't we have math in the dual credit?
We didn't have any certified math teachers that was willing to do that at that particular time, because they had other requirements as far as teaching either AP or maybe was teaching through Marshall or different issues. But at that time, we haven't had certified people.
But that could change next year.
And that can change each semester, actually.
And I just want to clarify whether it was a lack of the teachers or a lack of interest, you know, just based upon some of the scores we saw there.
One more thing I'll add to that, Bill. I'm sorry, but
You're fine.
The transitional studies that we seem to be having trouble with in a lot of our southern counties in math and English. We're putting more of those out there. I know it's It's something that we need to attack on the high school level for sure, and the grade school level. But we are making available those classes, those transitional math classes available. We had at least 3 on our campus down here this last semester. So, you know, it's an effort we're going to have to join together and work on.
And
Does it
if I
have to
could,
be, I'm sorry, does it have to be a math teacher that's present in the high school? Could it be a retired math teacher come back?
It could be as long as they had a master's degree in that particular field. And matter of fact, I'm putting together now a pool of instructors that we can use in even for our adjuncts out of the community.
and I wanted to say too, and not just with the math, but with all of our dual credit classes, we've been working closely with Southern to increase the number of dual credit classes that we'll be able to offer next year as well. So we hope to have, I'll give you a couple of examples, foreign language, Spanish for dual credit. We're even looking at offering a PE class for dual credit, and we have specific classes for each grade 9 through 12 that they can take in order to get, you know, a certain amount of dual credit classes each year as they go to high school.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. As you know, I didn't start the year. I came over here September 20th. And I've discovered great teachers, staff, administrators that care about students and work hard every day to try to improve the quality of education. And they've all responded positively and are willing to meet the challenge. Sometimes high school is a little harder to do than elementary. I've always said elementary could lead those teachers to slaughter and they'd follow you, but it's a little harder. But people have responded positively, the assistant principals, all the teachers and everyone, and I'm pleased. We've got some ways to go, but we're working at it hard every day, and these gentlemen over here help me, and Miss Shirley, our TIS, we couldn't make without her. She's super. Okay, some of the goals for this year, we want to try to improve the culture and climate at the school, and we're real fortunate this come along at the right time. We received a grant, a Safe and Drug-Free Schools grant that just came to the high school, and it's like $68,000 a year for 4 years. That much every year, and we've signed a memorandum of understanding, sent it back, and we're waiting on the money to flow. Then we have a committee here made up of students, teachers, counselors, a couple parents on it, that we're going to work on developing a positive school culture and climate. One of the things that we really need to work on is we got to do a better job with our student reward system. We don't do enough of that, of promoting the excellence we have here in students. Everything is seems punitive instead of rewarding and trying to be positive about some things. One of the other things we're going to we're going to increase the percent of students reading at or above grade level. We want to improve the use of data. We want to become a data-driven school where everything's based on that. This next one, transfer the ownership of the school to teachers, students, and parents. You know, when I put that on there, now that's people that, you know, you have to think about that. But, you know, when you walk in this school, it's not personalized. You don't see student pictures, awards, you don't see teachers with that, and we want to do more of that, and parents also. We want to let them it's their school. As long as it's the principal or the board or somebody trying to do everything, it'll never happen. You know, we've got to get everybody taking ownership and so forth, and that's one of our goals this year. And increase parent involvement, parental involvement. It's sad. We have, you know, 870 some students here. We will have a parent meeting, 5 people will show up. You know, we've got to do a better job. We've got to get more people here to help us make this do. Some of the needs for next year. First, I want to thank you for your support, personally and for the school. Everything you've done for us. Our biggest concern is our bandwidth. And I put student achievement there. Everything over here runs off of a computer. You know, we have the cognitive algebra, geometry, that's a computer-based program. We have the West Virginia Writes, a writing roadmap. We have benchmarks. We're starting to read 180. And we don't have enough bandwidth. And we've got another T1 line in, and for some reason it was hooked up the wrong place, and we don't have that yet. But we really, really need help there, and Mr. Gosney's been doing some checking. I think we have what he told me about 4 megs. I don't know all that, but he said 4 megs coming into the school. But I know we're in the process of getting 100 megs, but it's kind of tied up in court. They're doing an environmental study, and Mr. Gosney's been doing a little bit more research, and he's looking at, he's talked to Armstrong a little bit and got where we could get like 10 megs for like $1,000 a month or something. A T1 line, which we have 4 of them, costs us like $1,000 a month. But I don't know what the legal parts are, so we really, really need help on that issue, because when I was over here, I was on my phone about the first week, and I called Greg. I said, Greg, you got to come fix my phone. My cord's messed up. Well, what it was, there wasn't enough bandwidth. Even the phone system runs off the bandwidth. You can't even make a phone call or get in or out sometimes because of the lack of bandwidth of what's going on here. And teachers, you know, are always complaining about they can't get to this site and that site. And Greg does block a lot of them, but I'm finding out he has to block and filter a lot of stuff out so we'll have enough bandwidth to run the basic things we have. So it's our major #1 problem that we need help with, if we can get some help there.
And I want to share with the board, since you brought that up, it is illegal to do what you're suggesting we can't due to E-rate reasons and legal reasons and what we call, I think it's CIPRA or something, it's Child Internet Protection. We can't. With that, what you were talking about, the 10 megs with Armstrong, but having said that, we are working with the state. It's out of our hands at a much higher level than this board and us. And Danny Daly is constantly making phone calls, probably every other day, every 3 days, trying to make this happen. But again, it's way above us in getting that 100 meg bandwidth. But we are not quitting. So I just want to share with the board that we're not dragging our feet, and Danny Daly's not, but we're working very hard to make that happen. And we are very sympathetic to what the staff and Mr. Limber are going through over here, doing everything we can to help them. And eventually, we might even go to the very highest person in the land.
Thank you.
Virginia.
Well, we'll be with you. We'll be with you. One of the other concerns, and I think we've got this process started, we really need a storage building, and I think we're working on that down over the bank out back where all of our farm equipment. We had our VOAG program had one of their classrooms, then it needed another place for some equipment. And then when we got our electrical program, he didn't have a shop, so we've had to move the VOAG out, and we need, and I think we got a grant, and I know Mr. Sachs has met with some people about that, but we really need to follow up on that and make sure we get that and get our equipment put up. One of the other things, Ms. Yearling and Mr. Gosney is doing some research and went and visited another county. We're wanting to pursue some, if we can get some funding or grant, Mr. Gosney's working on this. We want to have the capability to do video conferencing here, where kids can go on virtual field trips. And then they can communicate to students in other countries, counties, whatever. And not only that, if we could get this started in our county, and we had one here, and we had one in the middle schools, we could do our staff development that way. Somebody here could be doing staff development, and they could be receiving that staff development. Or if we had a course here that we wanted to teach and 8th graders take out in the middle school, we could have the capability of teaching that. So that's one of the things that we want to pursue also with your help. This next one, we have an activity bus, and it does what it's supposed to for a certain amount of kids, okay? But it's just a certain amount of kids. I'm sure you're aware that the bus leaves here, goes to West Hamlin, then up Route 10 to Harts, and then the other one goes to Yawkey, and then to Alum Creek, okay? And you can see what wonderful students we have. And we're limiting some of these students to stay after school activities, like the students that live up Mud River, the ones live in the alcohol area, out on Route 34, down toward Bear Creek, because we don't run an activity bus that way. And it's affected, if we keep students involved in activities, that they will stay in school, and what that means if they stay in school as far as money. So we really need to explore that. And we also, after-school tutoring. We have after-school tutoring, and some of our at-risk students live in some of these areas, and they don't have the transportation. We have after-school detention that Mr. Sachs does, and it's a step that we use before we suspend students. We don't like to suspend students, but it's a step. And what we run into, we know students shouldn't get in trouble. We know that, but they do make mistakes. And today, in this day and time, you have grandparents, you have different people raising their children. They're on fixed income. And what happens is we'll have a student that gets to that step of after-school detention, and we'll call and let them know. And if somebody lives at head of, one of the hollows, I was one of them hollow kids, so I know what it's like. And they say, we just don't have money. We're on fixed income. We can't come out, and we can't do that. So then we end up suspending, or we try to work other things, but we really need to explore that possibility to involve more students in after-school activities, tutoring, and other activities, because we want more students involved. Okay? That's all I have.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
In the activity bus, do you have any study that would tell us if the dropout rate is higher in the students where the activity bus doesn't take on Route 34?
Well, there are studies that says the more that students are involved in school activities and has at least one caring adult in that school for them, the chance of them dropping out is less. And Mr. Sachs raised his hand. I think he'd done a little bit.
I was just going to say that a lot of times when I do my after-school attention, we also have the Plato, which is the credit recovery and the remediation program that we run. There are some days when there's not enough computers for the students that want to stay after school. And they'll have to bring down the mobile lab to accommodate those students. And the majority of those students are actually there for credit recovery. And so that has a direct relationship with our graduation rate. Those students that are trying to overcome some of the barriers that they've had in the past so that they can graduate.
I was just curious, you had specific areas named there, alcohol, Bear Creek, so forth. What about other areas along Route 10?
Well, that could
10 miles.
that would be too if you lived ahead of 10 Mile, and it is. And I think about the alcohol, Mud River. If possible, if we found out if there's that group of students, you could go up Mud River and come out alcohol one evening, and the next evening go alcohol and come out Mud River. To get to Bear Creek, you could go down and come down to Salt Rock and right back up. It's just a challenge for some of our students. The activity.
On board behalf, I think we can look into that.
Okay, we'd appreciate it.
Come back with to the board with some idea of the cost. And I don't think for what we could get out of it, I think the cost is very minimal for what hopefully we can come out of this. And we could try it for a year, and if it doesn't succeed, we can always back off. But I agree with you, and I think it will be better. So I'll bring that back, and I think that's one that we can help you with.
Thank you.
And we're ongoing with the band there. We won't give up on that.
And what, I didn't have it up there, I already had this prepared, but after today, going with some of the students down there when they prepare, we're probably gonna be trying to get us a show choir here too.
I applaud that too.
You know, they're really excited about it.
Hey, Mr. Lynn, would you check into something for me, get with Mr. Rose or some other people? My concern is, like, students are participating in the band, being able to have time during the school day, so that there's not a conflict with some things that they're trying to take in order to get into college, but also to be able to take the band class.
Okay.
So that we can probably encourage more people to get into band. Because I don't know if you all been to some of the football games, we have about 25 people, maybe 30 people in the band. And, you know, this county is notorious. I mean, just with all the high schools that we've had huge bands. I mean, and just absolutely fantastic. I mean, just performances, different things like that. And whenever I see a school of almost 900 kids, we have 25, there has to be some type of scheduling conflict or something that's prohibiting kids from getting into the band. So if we could do something with that, maybe look into that.
Yes, I will, and I'm sure you're aware of the grants that we got for the middle schools.
Yeah, yeah.
And we got that going, and one of the things, I'm going to probably come back to you later, and I'm going to ask for probably a stipend for our band and the teachers at the middle schools. One of the things we want to do when school's out, we want to have like a 4 or 5 day mini band camp here, bringing in our middle school students and get them hooked when they get here.
We're also looking at the middle school student trying to get to the elementaries.
Yeah.
And start a little something in if it's, you know, basic, but just something to the interest to.
But when you look at the middle schools, those people are just hired as music teachers. They do not get a supplement to do anything after school for band. I don't know if everyone realized that, but yeah, that's a problem. And it's also a problem here with Mr. Cook. He goes to every band festival and here, every band practice. He's a 200-day employee. You know, and I coached and believe in that and all that, but it's, you know, all the coaches pay, we pay and everything. The arts is important or more, just as important. All of it's important. But
Mr. Lynn, well, I appreciate everything that you've done. I know that the meal was great. Presentations were great from Hamlin and from Lincoln County High School. It's great to see everybody here, the staff, people from the staff, friends and family.
Music was wonderful.
Music was great. I mean,
thank you.
Does anybody else have anything to say?
The bar has.
Yeah, the bar is, they've raised the bar. Rangers going to have to do something.
Things have changed.
Yeah.
Thank you. And once again, I want to thank my LSIC. They're a very active group, and I appreciate it. And Mr. Cummings, Mr. Sachs, and Ms. Yearling were here. Thank you. You guys can go if you want to. Just say this to me.
Could we have little lights?
If I can figure out how to turn them on.
Please. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, hey, if you all want to stick around, feel free.
But it's a good time to go.
But if you want to leave,
He asked us to send little notes home to parents if kids did something good. So we got all these little cards that, you know, just make a comment on it, address it to the parents. And it all relates to a positive reinforcement of something that the kids did. I had a couple of experiences from this. One was from a girl a couple of weeks back that was just tickled to death when she came in the room, you know, grinning from ear to ear. And she said, "My mom gave me a hug today, or yesterday when I come home." And I asked her why, and she said, "That little note you sent home." She said, "Yeah, my mom was tickled with that." And then today I had a student come in. He was smiling from ear to ear, and I asked him what he was smiling about, and he said, "You sent me something in the mail." I said, "Oh, did you get my thank you card?" He said, "Yes, I did." He said, "You know, we was only at school 1 week." He said, "But that made my week." You know, and I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd share that with you.
Thank you.
Mr. Linville forgot to do that.
They only hear the negative things.
They only hear the negative things, and that's what the student, the girl said, her mom, she said, all the time he ever calls when something bad happens, she said, and out of the blue, you know, I got this for it, you know, from the school. Here, I want to share that with you.
Thank you.
We'll continue to hear each of the teachers and students today about the positive comments at school. So,
I read several, they're really cute.
I've been eating candy.
Merry Christmas, board members.
Thank you, Chris.
Merry Christmas. That's what I was thinking.
They send stuff.
All right, let's move to our administrative section. Mr. Rhodes, would you take care of that, please? Administrative section.
Oh, well, thank you. Administrative, school volunteers, chaperones, you all are very familiar with that, and the names. With Michael Tierney, this is a grant that was co-written by the Hearts Intermediate and Michael Tierney.
I have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead, you go ahead.
Well, I was just curious, what was accomplished with this? I mean, what is this grant?
What is the purpose of
What
it?
is it?
I do not know.
Well, I have no question.
But when they were writing, there's a lot of these that are written, and to be honest, I'm assuming they all revolve around students, achievement, period. That's attendance and so forth. But I can find out more specifics. Yes.
I have a question, maybe Trish can answer
Okay.
about this. The project advisor and the project coordinator, have those been posted, or are we waiting to approve this? So
No,
this
they have not been posted.
Okay, so this has not started yet. Is that correct? Has this program started yet? I don't guess it
We
has.
couldn't because we're just approving contract.
Ideally, that's how it works.
Yeah. Oh, yes, ideally. That's the way it's
Ideally, it
supposed
works
to
that way.
work. Yes.
But we have not posted these,
No,
correct?
we have not.
And you don't have any information on the requirements for these positions or anything? Are you assuming, could you assume it would be somebody at the school that would get these jobs, or do we know? Would these be outside entities coming into the school, or would these be school staff, or do you have any idea?
At this point in time, Donna, I do not, but I see that Mr. Minkiff he may know more.
Yeah, I see him
about-
signed it. I just
We can
was
email you
curious about
tomorrow
it.
about that information.
Okay, I'd appreciate the information. I'd hope it would be someone at the school that works directly with the students.
I'm assuming that's the way it will be, especially since Hearts Intermediate, both they're leaning together with this. By my understanding. And also on C, and we are having an adjustment also, simply that Mr. Linville requested this to be done with Becky Ray, and this has already taken place. And my point being that our adjustment will be that we have to have these approved in advance. So there may be a couple more come along, but that's because they probably occurred prior to the approval. Giving the local control. But these things, you'll find that you'll start approving everything, and this will be rare if it happens ever again after the next meeting. D, out-of-state trip. We approved this trip. Need your all approval because it is after the West test, and they finally, we come to agreement of what time of year would be appropriate for this trip.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on that, so.
Well, good.
And is this open to all students?
Yes.
All
It's
grade
the
levels?
sixth grade.
Sixth grade,
It's
but it's
sixth
open
grade.
to all students on the sixth grade.
Sixth grade.
Sixth grade.
Okay, it just says all.
Take my son to Washington DC.
That'll be one of the chapters.
Out of
We
state.
have to change, we have to use those days, those are OS days, correct? We have to
Yes.
use them for instruction, they would still be going.
They
now.
still will be going. Out-of-state travel for school employees, Danny Daly. And of course, he would like to go to always find out what's coming down the pike, and what is to be benefit to our students and county. Cheryl Workman will be going to the National Principal Association. And there was 2 others, I think possibly that are going, but they'll be approved at a later time. And we'll try to do this on a rotating basis. So our principals, we think they need to attend the national conferences, and also the leadership part. We have the SIG grants, which a lot of leadership training and mentoring is going on among those schools, where the other schools are not getting that leadership training because they don't have the SIG grant, and so we want them to get some training too. But if you follow that.
That's a school improvement grant.
Yes, ma'am. That's a good idea. In finance, before I want to share this with you about finance.
Why don't we go ahead and close down a minute?
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
And then we'll get into finance. Everybody good?
I moved it before.
Anybody?
I'll say.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the administrative section items. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Let's move to finance.
Thank you. Ms. Gandy is not here, but you well know we're trying to do some things and get on our pay schedule. We had scheduled that our employees be paid on the 23rd, and that was prior to one of our employees being ill. And so it's been very difficult to make this happen, but due to her persistence in Cabell County, Jody Lucas and a couple of people there helping us on the payroll, we're going to get it done. We may have some errors, but we are going to pay on the 22nd our employees, at least that's what we're shooting for. And then if there are any errors in the pay, then they can, let us know, and we can get their money corrected for the 23rd, so they'll be before Christmas. But Bertie is working at the office this evening, and I thought that was a much better place, and I would believe the board would agree, so our employees get paid. If you have any questions, feel free to call her. She wanted me to share that with you. Okay?
Does anybody have any questions on the financial section? Go ahead.
Well, on page 1 invoice here again, the Branchland Midkiff PSD, $150.04. I must abstain from that vote. Well, my brother should not vote at the end of this month. Well, I mean, he's supposed to be, so.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the Branchland PSD $150.04. Please make a note that Dr. Martin has abstained from the vote. All in favor? Well, I need a second.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor? All opposed? Dr. Martin abstains. And now I'd like to make a motion that we approve the rest of the financial items.
I second.
Dr. Martin seconds that. Is there any questions? All those in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. Now let's move into our personnel section. Ms. Lucas, you want to go through that?
I will, and since this is your all's first official personnel. Yay. And please, if you have any questions through this, ask me. You will notice on the very first one, this had been sent to the State Department, but it did not get back to us in time for the last board meeting, so it's up to you guys. If you want me to read, yeah.
Are you going in order? I'm sorry. Are you going in order from this page on?
Yes, it says December the 6th up at the top.
The new one that you got laying on your table tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Take them together. Orlando Maynard is the first name.
Yes, Orlando Maynard is the first name. And that was just, so if you have any questions on that one, I do want to call your attention to the 2 abolished positions at the, right above that, because you will see that later on in the personnel schedule. Then on the next second page, it's the addendum 1, and the first name you will see on it is Earl Hanson. And then the transfer of professional personnel. The very first one is Kim Browning. Then right below that starts the new, the teachers for the new pre-K-8 school at Harts. This will be for the opening, the anticipated opening, because we don't know what that date is.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question here. Mr. Christian and I are discussing this. Now, you abolished the posting on the secretary for...
That, yes, that was because it had the hearts at the top.
Correct.
Yes. It was just one of those carryovers, yes.
Okay.
And we reposted it.
And you already reposted it?
Yes, we did.
And so do we have the hiring in the back here?
We
on this?
do. Yes, we do.
Yeah. It is reposted, so that is the good.
We've had a little disagreement.
Well, I thought we were talking about the same position, but then you convinced me we weren't.
I can see.
Child persuasion there. But yes, we did repost that.
Okay.
Really?
That's some more retirees.
We do have some retirements and resignations.
But no, she won't start until January. The one that Miss Agnes at it's going into the central office, she won't start until January the 20th?
Yes, and that's so that we can post for her position and hire someone to take her place before we move her.
Let me share this with you. Third page from the end, board members. Third page from the end. If you all see that on the effective dates, on the last one, it's supposed to be December the 20th. On the very bottom right, that's supposed to be December 20th.
Looking for Mark Miller?
Yes.
Substitute bus driver?
Yes, and then the Amy Adkins, that's supposed to be January 20. Just a reversal. Thank you. Sorry.
That was kind of real hurry, and we will be more aware because we're going into a brand new year. We've got to remember to do 2011.
That's right.
2010.
Would you share with the board, please, Ms. Lucas, about where we are on the personnel season? You know, what kind of your dates, and would you share with them?
We will be sending the letters right after Christmas on any terminations, you know, because of reduction in force, any kind of abolishing positions. Then we have to have all of that information to the personnel by February 1st, on or before February 1st. Then we have to have our hearings by March 15th, I think. So. Yeah, last year they changed the dates. We were hoping that they would change them back, to be like they used to be, but they didn't. And so we're under those timelines. So they will know right after Christmas. But
How many letters do you plan, I mean, what are you projecting as far as?
well, there will be several in the Title I due to reconfiguring.
Right.
And with the funding,
Right.
because Ms. Coburn has looked at the funding and as she's talked with State Department, and because personnel season is so early, they don't have their final budget numbers, so we have to look at what preliminary budget that we have, the numbers. It's one of those things we have to send letters. We can always put them back, but we can't, not do something ahead of time.
Right.
We'd miss some timelines and be having extra people there
So how many
with
letters,
no money.
normally, how many letters goes out?
Last year, we had 2, I think,
And
2 or 3. But this year, it is going to be more
Okay.
due to looking at the Title I and the reconfiguration of what Ms. Coburn wants to do with Title I. There are some people, because of the new pre-K-8 school at Harts, that will not be back, just due to we reduced some positions. I'm trying to think, because I've been getting nervous about looking at all of the people and where they're going to go, and the retiring. Retirement, will help, but then.
I was just kind of
And I haven't filled all of the positions at Harts yet. We're just going to be looking at reposting because we didn't have some certified people.
Right.
So.
That was made me kind of believe that, Mr. Limble's mentioned here today as far as math teachers that aren't certified. Now, what happens with those people that he has or anybody else has that aren't certified? How are those people handled?
Well, if they're in a program, if they're in their master's program, if they're getting their classes and they're going, if they're on a permit, we don't post those. If they have failed to fulfill their 6 hours that's required for them to continue on their permit by June the 30th, then we terminate them.
How would we know, by June the 30th? I was going to say, how would we know if they were doing that?
Right now, I've met with not all of the staff due to some weather, but I have gone to all of the schools. I've met with the staff. We have a printout. The State Department grades their list every month, and we pull that as to who has certification, who's going to expire June 30th. We have that list. We've been giving it to the principals, and we've also given a letter to each of those teachers. And they have to let us know if they're in a class, if they've registered for a class, so that we know what their intentions are.
But they don't receive a letter stating that if you haven't completed these requirements prior to the next school term, you can't be employed.
Yes, they do. That's the letter we give to them. That as I've been meeting with them, we hand them that letter.
So they're notified in writing then that
Yes.
that they're required to do this in order to return.
Yes, and I verbally tell them that as well. Because we've been, like I said, we've been meeting with every school, at the staff, every school.
Okay. I just wondered because, it's nice that everybody said, well, I'm going to do that. And then if they don't do it, that you've covered yourself.
Yes,
So
they get a letter. Last year, we mailed it to them, and we asked for it to be back like in January. So we start, and we call them and we email them,
Well, I was just thinking, everybody has good intentions, but if something were to happen, they weren't able to fulfill their obligation.
And we have had to do that. I know we did last year, that. And then they can reapply for that job. If no one else certified applies for that job, they can apply for it, but they're hired as a long-term substitute. And their pay scale changes from a regular employee to a substitute. So, that's what we're doing. That's all.
Does anyone else have any questions? Have you received any letters of intent for retirement? A lot of letters? Just here on the?
Just,
this is it?
as we get them,
Yeah.
we try to put them on the board agenda so that you can see as. And some people will wait till the end because they're not sure.
I didn't know he was that old. So, I make a motion that we approve the personnel section. Ms. Smith seconds the motion. Is there any questions? All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have anything that you'd like to address?
I just have one thing I'd like to mention about, to ask Mr. Roach concerning the construction of the school calendar for next year. I see that some other counties are working toward a calendar that will start early in August. And the semester, first semester will be finished before Christmas, and like a college schedule. And I just wondered if, we've taken a look at that yet, or if you had time to even consider anything. I mean, I'm not saying that's what we should do. I'm just saying that they're taking a real closer look, it seems like, and I know the State Department's encouraged to start early in order to get all the instructional days in.
Right, and we are looking at that also and finishing before Christmas. The RESA usually gets together with the counties to try to come up with a common calendar, since we share students and teachers. Some of our teachers' families live in Cabell and go to school there, so we will probably have that soon, but it is not ready. There's a process we go through, but most likely we're encouraging, I think it helps the high school if we had that prior to
the semester before Christmas.
Yes, and besides that, but also helping with the weather. So we are looking at that same thing, but we have not officially started.
Is there any, you talk about the calendar.
Yes.
Does the teachers ever, are they allowed to have any input?
Absolutely.
I would like to see, I don't know if y'all are aware of, there's some other counties that do like year-round school. And I would like to see if what your thought is about maybe a year-round school, and to see where the teachers would be.
I'd love it.
But I'm talking about,
Well,
but I think it's information, getting information to the teachers, to the parents, the students, and maybe a calendar, just a mock calendar of maybe a possible schedule, where maybe you have a couple of weeks at the end of each quarter, instead of maybe just one long drawn out summertime, whenever most kids get tired, they get bored, and then you have to regroup and refocus. I just think it may be something that maybe we could, you can look at. Have a discussion. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Okay.
We discussed that in the past.
You get them half price deals in the fall on the beach too. If you want to go on vacation, go down there in August, September, you have a break, it's about half what.
I think it may help the parents also who have full-time jobs, and then they have to worry during the summer about this long stretch of getting a babysitter during that time.
We'll look into it.
Well, I think it would be something that maybe, for the faculty to, something for maybe the staff to entertain.
And even if not for this coming year, we'll
Maybe
look
for
at it
next
in
year.
the future.
Just maybe something to look at.
Just to do some type of survey to just see
Yeah,
how they feel about it.
just to take a little look, see maybe where everybody's at.
Well, before before you close the meeting, I would like to announce, this was published today for us to be able to make an announcement that for teachers earning the National Board Certification, we have 4 in our county that, and I know we've talked about doing something for them, but I wanted to let you all know, since this press release came out today, and I wanted you all to know before you read it and wondered why we didn't say something about it. But Lori Huffman was one, Beth Ann Joyce, Jenny McClung, and Carolyn Topping were the.
We will have, we'll invite them for the board and have a little presentation.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's not easy, it's not an easy task.
You could dinner for
Another, something else is, and I just wanted to share this with you all. I mean, we need to, and you know, I think there's, by state law, there's a certain time where we need to start looking for a superintendent because you have a one-year contract, and your contract ends in July. June the 3rd. June the 3rd. So we need to, Mr. Roach, if you can, find out what we need to do as far as posting the job, when we need to do it, so that we are within the law, state law.
Could I?
Go ahead.
Just suggest or ask that maybe at a future meeting that the board could meet in executive session to discuss that?
Right, right. But I just wanted to, I didn't know if everybody was aware. I mean, I'm sure Fred is, I'm sure she is. I wasn't aware until just a few days ago that this is state law.
Well,
whenever
I'd just like to discuss, because there are certain circumstances when you wouldn't post a job.
Right.
And that's why I think maybe we as a board would just meet with,
right,
excluding Mr. Roach and just discuss.
I've been excluded before.
You will be?
Yeah, I will be, but I will share,
we need to,
I will share all that information in the process for everything.
Right.
And give it to you all.
Would we have, and the cost?
Cost.
Would that have to be on an agenda item for us to meet at some
Yes.
future time?
Yes.
Can we put that on the board action for the next meeting? Can we do that, Ms. Powell?
Absolutely.
To meet in executive session.
Meet in executive
Yes.
session.
That's something we do need to
We need to address.
address
We need to talk.
very soon.
That's right. That's right. Let me see here. I don't think that there's anything else. Go ahead.
The parent concern, Nina Chandler,
Mm-hmm.
was that not?
She wasn't here tonight.
Okay, sorry.
No, that was,
I missed that.
That's all.
taken care of.
Okay.
Anything else?
The only thing that I have, I think there's probably some concern about fire hydrants at the new school.
Been taken care of.
Okay.
State Fire Marshal was there. He has written a report to add another fire hydrant, not a dry one. Dry one means it's out of the river, I think, is what it's referred to, but a regular one on the opposite, the river side, on the other end of the school. And the SBA has a copy, ZMM has a copy, because I feel like the SBA ought to pay for that, since it's
I put a call into Rick Roberts, who used to be over the Logan PSD. Do we need 3?
No, no.
2 will do it?
State Fire Marshal, once he's the final person to say what you need, because he's the one responsible. And he said why we needed it, and it's in writing. I can, bring that to the board meeting and share that.
As long as it's taken care of.
Yeah, it's taken care of, and I appreciate it. People have asked me, other board members have asked me about that previously too, yes.
As far as the is it the dry hydrant, Is that no longer being considered?
not being considered due to the cost of a pumping station.
Is that what was going to require?
Yes. And no one wanted that, it was not feasible. And then with everybody concerned, most people were satisfied, but with one, except, I'm talking about, I don't know who the authority was, where the water comes from. I don't know if it's Logan or where it comes from. But anyway, with the requirement and the amount of water, but we wanted another one to satisfy the local volunteer fire department in Harts. And so we invited the fire marshal to come to our construction meeting. And based on what he says, he's kind of like the law. You know, once he says it, it's a final word. Final word. And it's done, and we're going to get that extra fire hydrant.
Don't mess with him.
Was the Harts Fire Department representative?
No, but he was going to talk to the fire. No, he's over them too, so.
Well, I understand. I just wondered if anybody was present at the meeting.
No, but I think they were invited to attend, but the state fire marshal was going to see them, because I shared with them, you know, that they had concerns, and I wanted them to be happy.
So he could express.
Yes, because his knowledge and me trying to explain it, you know, like night and day. So he's the expert, and I think he could explain it better than I could. Plus, he's the final authority.
Yeah, that's the.
We'll have a beautiful school there, and we want to be sure that the children are safe and our building is safe.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carol, for looking into that. It's kind of like Jim Rome, it's the final burn. Anybody watch the final burn, Jim Rome? All right, anyway. Rome's burn. Does anybody have anything else? No, go ahead.
Two things.
Hit it.
One, we have a guest speaker coming for our luncheon on the 23rd at 10 o'clock. He was at Ground Zero. He has some of the best testimonial you'll ever hear. It makes you realize and thankful about Christmas and what we all need to be thinking about. And you're invited. It's my staff at the central office, and I've invited the principals and the assistant principals. You also are invited. And if you want to come to luncheon, that'll be around 11. If you want to hear this gentleman, then come at 10 at the in the boardroom. But you're most welcome, and I don't think you'll ever, you'll never hear someone who's so interesting and so dynamic, yet a common folk, so to speak. You know, as a firefighter, but there's so many wonderful stories. I was very impressed. Also, the flowers are for you, and to say Merry Christmas and always thank you.
It was new, it wasn't me.
Thank you anyways for
for being here, and I appreciate you all very much.
That's it.
And Sean, you're one of us, so you come to that dinner also. And
Thank you.
it would be nice to cover this gentleman that has been to Ground Zero. That would be a good story. Yeah.
So I need, thank you.
All right. Hey, I mean, does anybody have anything else? Oh, before we get finished, I'll say Merry Christmas to everybody. Have a Happy New Year. Y'all be
Thank
safe.
you.
It's been a pleasure working with you all this year. I've really enjoyed it.
I think we're.
Really, I think I've had a blast. I've had a good time. And we spent a lot of time together.
And congratulations to the board on the first personnel meeting.
Way smooth.
Yeah.
I don't think the next one will be quite as long.
Yeah, just don't riff too many people because
Well, you guys get to do
we can't bring the state.
You're welcome. Well, it was fair time.
We have a motion on the floor to adjourn.
I'll second.
We have a second. Is there any questions? All those in favor for adjournment until January the 3rd, 2011, at 6 p.m.